once you purchase a chatbot, the very first thing is to customize it, to tailor it for the needs of your company. It doesn't matter what the sales representatives are telling you, and if they're trying to sell this to you as plug and play, it's never plug and play. You need to understand how it works, you need to understand what could go wrong. That's the very first question I'm asking to our technical team.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host Shripati and we are glad to have all of you join us today. On this show, we talk to CX and technology experts from around the world. We explore, uncover, and share fresh insights on creating experiences that your customers will remember and look forward to. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code digital CX platform that is available across 14 channels with over 45,000 solutions created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Inc. magazine, Tech World, CIO, and many other such platforms. Engati recently also won the Cody 21 award for Best AI driven technology solution. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Lilia Stoyanov is the CEO of Transformify. She is a fintech and digital transformation expert. She is also a professor at Ziggurat Business School and expert evaluator Horizon 2020 at the European Commission. She holds expertise in financial services, payments, blockchain, strategy, go to market, PR, and marketing. Welcome to the show, Lily. We are really glad to have you with us today.
Many thanks for having me today, and it's really exciting to hear about what Engati could do for companies across the globe. I'm personally very excited about customer experience, and I know that customers come first.
Absolutely. Customers do come first, even for us, and it's wonderful to have you on our show. Before we dive into our interview with Lily, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content from thought leaders around the globe. Lily, I'd want to talk to you first about the adoption of AI in fintech. What are your thoughts about the evolution and adoption of AI in fintech?
Over the past decade, we witnessed lots of fintech companies adopting machine learning algorithms. It was inevitable. As you know, KYC check, know your customer checks are mandatory. The very same is applicable to anti-money laundering regulations and checks. And without algorithms, all these checks are very tedious. It takes lots of time. You can never be sure if what is manually performed as actions, it's always in compliance. So the algorithms are a big step forward, and I'm sure that in the next couple of years, there wouldn't be any fintech organization out there that's not using AI and machine learning algorithms to automate fraud, AML, and KYC checks.
Absolutely right. I mean, there is a lot that AI has helped in fintech ease out the customer experiences. On the same lines, what do you think conversational intelligence has helped in internal and external customer support or lead generation use cases, and even cases like processing policy, issuing, doing claim filling, KYC, as you mentioned, and other items?
When it comes to conversational bots and when it comes to natural language processing, there are two big trends. One big trend is around the so-called wrong positives and the risks that are associated with it. Quite often, based on natural language processing, the responses that are offered to the customers are not necessarily the correct responses because you're recognizing certain keywords, but these keywords could be used in different contexts. And for that reason, the customer experience is not always positive. So this is one trend. The other trend out there is rather around certain patterns. These are chatbots or conversational bots that are based on predictive analytics. So you have a series of questions. You are asking the customer a question, and the customer may choose between a variety of answers. And in this case, you have the so-called canned predefined answers, but they're very tailored. They're tailored to a choice the customer has already made. So in this case, although it's not cutting edge technology, still the performance is better because you are not misleading the customer. The customer has already made a choice. If this question is relevant to what they're asking for, is this relevant to the use case? Or if it is irrelevant, eventually, after a few questions and all the time, it happens to be irrelevant to me. More than two questions are too much.
Correct.
Based on our own practice, our data analytics, I would say two count questions are enough. If both are irrelevant, it's better to connect with an agent and to listen what this particular case is all about, because it may be something very, very tailored, very custom for that particular customer. So to me, still, the cutting edge technology that's based on natural language processing has many risks associated with it. There have been even lawsuits. So both the companies providing such technology solutions and the companies using them need to be very careful in their case what kind of conversations they're trying to automate. Is it too sensitive? If it is, it's better go the other way around.
Absolutely. So there are multiple cases where the conversation is very niche and is very custom to a particular customer. So it is best to hand off to an agent. But in cases of, let's say, policy, issuing a policy or filling out claims, do you think their conversational intelligence can really help customers?
It definitely helps customers. What I have seen in practice, and you started the conversation with lead generation, there are a few providers out there that are providing conversational bots specifically related to lead generation and starting a conversation even before the sales agent is involved at all. In such cases, it is something that really helps because from the very beginning, you're asking questions around profiling that prospect
Yes.
depending on the business. This can be done. Definitely, this can be done. This can be automated and it works at that level. Then, when it comes to very tailored questions regarding pricing policies, regarding terms and conditions, etc., anything that could potentially harm the company and result in a lawsuit in the future, because you're providing that information via a chatbot, it can be recorded as a print screen, as a video, and used against you later on because you own that chatbot after all. If the chatbot is providing incorrect information and misleads the customer, you're the one responsible. In such cases, I would never recommend this. If it is sensitive, if it can result in lawsuits or other problems, better keep it unautomated, keep it with an agent and with a well trained agent as well.
Absolutely. Anything that brings in, is a risk to your brand, or anything that is more nuanced, it is definitely good to transfer it to an agent. That is such wonderful thoughts, Lily. Thank you so much for that insight. Moving on, the next question that I had for you, Lily, is how do you think fintech companies are using social and digital channels to connect to their customers? And also, do you see technology adoption for customers changing directions at any point in the future?
What I see recently is that all fintech companies, regardless of their size, are using the social media channels. They're using social media channels for brand awareness purposes predominantly, but also quite often I see fintech companies using WhatsApp integration, Viber integration to facilitate live chat, and not only live chat, quite often these are also bots, but to facilitate chats with their customers and prospective customers, and it is ongoing trend. I also see a trend for the customers to immediately connect with an agent via Twitter in the US. I would say in the US, Twitter is probably the most common channel, especially if there is a frustrated customer and this customer did not receive a response after two, three, four attempts to connect with the customer support. Usually they post it publicly on Twitter. And this is a trend in the US. I see this trend also in Australia. It's less common across Europe, it's less common across Southeast Asia. Then you see the usage of Facebook in Asia a lot. When I say Asia, I exclude China, Japan, and South Korea because they don't use Facebook that much, if they use it at all. But it's used widely in India, Bangladesh, Singapore. Also, it's quite widely used in the Philippines. In that part of the world, it is Facebook, Facebook chat that's used by fintechs, and not only by fintechs, by many, many brands to connect with their customers.
Yes. Absolutely. And this kind of adoption, you mentioned WhatsApp, you mentioned Facebook. Some of these are definitely very engaging channels for customers. How do you see this going ahead? Let's say in future, do you think there will be more adoption of doing a lot of functionalities via WhatsApp and Facebook and such social media channels?
Yes and no. There are privacy issues, and lots of companies are using these channels because it's convenient for their users. At the same time, they're very much concerned about data privacy, about how this data is processed. You know that all social media are subject of hacker attacks quite often. There are cases of stolen passwords, stolen information, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So over time, I don't believe that the companies will adopt these channels as their primary channels of communication. Not at all. It's rather they'll always be there in the communication mix. I don't see them going forward to increase the proportion, the ratio versus any other channels that are privately owned by the companies, and they have control over how the information is stored, processed, how it is made secure in first place, etc.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is an interesting point that you bring up of security. When using social media platforms, our data is really completely shared with the platform, and that's a risk, right?
It's definitely a risk. It's risk for the fintech company as well because you know that all these companies are strictly regulated. Doesn't matter where in the world they are incorporated. And in case of any data leakage, doesn't matter if it happens on social media channels or elsewhere, it is the fintech company that's kept responsible by the regulators. They need to take measures, they need to be responsible of how data is stored and processed. And if they trust their data with a third party, it's their choice, they're still responsible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, the next question that I have, Lily, for you is around customer experience, and how do you think AI-powered chatbots are really changing customer experience in the insurance industry, especially with respect to customer support? You mentioned getting 24/7 support from agents, right? So these are, and an angry customer. This is a very wonderful feature that AI powered chatbots bring. What do you think are some applications where we can enhance the customer experience even better?
Regarding insurtech, because insurance is another industry that's strictly regulated. And when we say insurance, we cannot take it as a whole because you have a variety of products that are offered by a variety of companies, and it's not equally applicable. If you're offering car insurance, life insurance, health insurance, or other insurance products, there are lots of nuances there, lots of specifics that need to be addressed. So, not to know these cases, AI driven chatbots could help. They can help at the beginning to collect user information. Imagine you have an unhappy user on the line, it's late at night, and you don't have 24 agents available. Most companies don't because it's too expensive to
Right.
have 24/7. So in such case, what you have is, first of all, you collect information via the chatbot about who the user is, what the case is. You assign a case number and you make sure that you raise the correct ticket and that there is a control how much time it takes for the agents to respond. There is control over the quality of responses, etc., etc. So to that level, it helps. But I personally wouldn't trust an AI-driven chatbot with a direct answer to the customer, specifically when it is a strictly regulated industry. This may result in a lawsuit. It's too risky to trust it 100%. I would rather trust the AI chatbot to organize the process, to automate the process, to have the right controls in place.
Absolutely. So you're bringing up a case where AI powered chatbots really collect all the information and provide initial customer experience, a good experience in terms of logging a ticket, and then the agent really taking it forward from there. Do you see
Not
more?
only that, I
Sorry.
would say that the AI-powered chatbot could do something even more to go a step further, because based on analyzing the data, it could even channel the tickets to the right customer support agent. Usually, if it is a bigger company, of course, their profile. They're profiled based on the product, they're profiled based on the type of inquiry, etc. This is something the chatbot could do. It could channel the tickets to the right agents, and it's again automation saving lots of time in the phone.
Absolutely. Do you think there are more applications that we could use an AI powered chatbot to really impact or bring about better experience for the end customer?
Again, to me, it needs to be tailored to the industry and the company. What I see as a major deficiency, and now I'm speaking in my capacity of an angel investor that's evaluating proposals, pitch decks, etc., all the time. Then what I see there is the fact that they are trying to bring camp solutions, off the shelf solutions, and usually the pitch is everyone can use it, it's equally good for all industries. There is nothing like that. It needs to be very much tailored, and if you really want to stand out and have a competitive advantage, you need to understand which industry is the industry you could address. You have the know-how of the processes, the specifics, and then provide a tailored solution that is really enhancing the user experience for that particular industry.
Absolutely. So you're
That's
talking.
my takeaway from it.
No, that's absolutely right. So you're talking of a tailor-made, profiled use case for a specific company, for a specific industry or subsection of the uh, insurance industry or other industries. That's lovely thoughts, Lilia. Thank you so much for those insights. Do you have any other thoughts that you'd want to leave our audiences with?
Let's say once you purchase a chatbot, the very first thing is to customize it, to tailor it for the needs of your company. It doesn't matter what the sales representatives are telling you, and if they're trying to sell this to you as plug and play, it's never plug and play. You need to understand how it works, you need to understand what could go wrong. That's the very first question I'm asking to our technical team. Okay, we have it, being it a new feature, being it a new software we have purchased, being it an API we need to integrate with. The very first thing is identify what could go wrong, and after that, we start with the integration.
Yes,
Tailored to the fact that these are risks, we understand these risks, we need to mitigate them. It's absolutely valid to chatbots as well, especially valid for chatbots because they could ruin the reputation of the business if not configured properly. They could result in tons of unhappy customers instead of improving their experience, and it is only because they're not integrated properly, not tailored properly.
absolutely. So it's very critical to tailor the chatbot solutions or any AI powered solutions to a specific industry. Thank you so much, Lily, for giving us your time. Thank you so much for these insights. I've truly learned a lot by talking to you, and I'm sure our audience is going to really enjoy listening to you as well.
It
We
was all my pleasure.
Thank you. We will be back with a new episode and a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned, and we will see you around in the next one.